Well, good evening. Welcome to another episode of Burn and Learn, the Cigar Lifestyle Podcast. My name is Steve Mann. I'm very happy to be back at Rebellion in downtown Leesburg. I want to give a special thanks to both Joel and James at Rebellion for giving us the opportunity to have impactful conversations as well as share a great stick with friends here at Rebellion. So happy to be here. Super happy to also talk about the guests that I have. As you guys know, my co-host Ray and our special guest Kenny Blakeney. So Ray, you want to give a quick
Yeah. Hey,
overview?
hey guys, so excited to be back at Rebellion. I love coming out to Rebellion. What a great place to watch a game. What a great place to hang out with friends, have a cigar, have some great bourbon. And I'm so excited to talk to my good friend, Kenny Blakeney. We go way back. I was excited when he agreed to come onto our show. And without further ado, let's do it.
Yeah. So Kenny, you want to give us a quick overview of your background and introduce yourself?
Well, my name is Kenny Blakeney. I'm the head basketball coach at Howard University, a native Washingtonian, proud Duke University alum. As Ray mentioned, we go far back. We were both freshmen at the Mather Catholic High School in Hyattsville, Maryland together.
Okay. Awesome.
And it's just great to be here. Excited for this conversation.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, again, we're happy to have the opportunity to chat with you today on Burn and Learn. As you guys know, the title of the show, Burn and Learn, the burn part is we will always have an opportunity to come together and share a great cigar and talk about that cigar, talk about why we chose it, the flavor notes, what we like. But the learn part is what I'm more interested in, right? The learn part is we always have exciting guests with unique backgrounds, and we spend time over a great cigar teasing out the story and figuring out some learnings that I can share with the viewers on your background and some of the things that you've been involved with. So, I always say that the show itself is an opportunity to have a great cigar, but build and invest in even better human connection. So that's really where I'm coming from and the focus of the show. And again, I'm just happy to have the opportunity to do that with both of you gentlemen today. As it relates to the cigar, huge Davidoff fan, and for me, I always enjoy the Davidoff Escurio, the 10th anniversary limited edition. This is a Grand Toro. I'm a big fan of medium plus cigars, but I always relish the opportunity to have a complex cigar, right? And so, what I like about this cigar, it's got a Brazilian wrapper, Dominican filler. The combined age of the tobaccos in this cigar is 45 years. So you can tell when you light this up, you're going to have something special, right? So I always love this cigar. And the thing I like about it, again, it's a complex blend. It'll start off creamy. It'll become a little more full towards the middle. You'll start picking up notes of wood and leather. And then as you get through the final third, it softens up a bit. So you can enjoy that last third. And so this is a limited edition run. I think the first time it came out was about a year ago. Once they're out, they're gone, right? I was
Introduce you to this.
so if you remember, I think Teresa introduced us to this stick on an earlier episode. Teresa's the lead tobacconist at Georgetown Tobacco, and I think she brought the first stick for us to try a couple of episodes ago, and just fell in love with the experience. And so excited to light this one up and just give it a try.
You smoke many Davidoff, Kenny?
Ray, this may be my first.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So maybe my first.
I know Steve is a Davidoff connoisseur. Most of the ones I try come through Steve, but excellent cigars. Excellent cigars.
Yeah, I think there's always conversation about premium cigars, and there's always questions about the price and is it justified? Is it worth it? And I've even had those questions on occasion. up until February, when I had a chance to go to Pro Cigar down in the DR, I had an opportunity to spend time at the Davidoff farm, Snyder Farm, where we saw the growing process from beginning to end, which was really cool.
That's amazing.
And then I think it was a couple of days later, still on that trip, we had an opportunity to see the full production process in their production facility. So the way in which they go about their manufacturing, the Lean Six Sigma approach they take to manufacturing, you can quickly understand, why the cigar costs what it costs. And I think when you combine that with the age of some of the tobacco that they have curing at their facility, some of that tobacco is easily 15, 20 years old.
That's amazing.
And some people question that
Mhm.
until literally I was there, and while the tobacco was curing and aging, they put a tag on each one of the bales, and you can look at the tag.
Mm.
The tag tells you where that tobacco was grown on the farm, but it also tells you when it was grown, how long it was grown for, and how long it's been sitting. So I picked up a tag while we were in the facility, and that tobacco was grown and harvested in 2015.
Wow.
And I was there early 2026, and that tobacco had not yet been used in production, right? So you can imagine that tobacco is really being saved for something special, a limited edition, maybe one of the annual Year of the Zodiac limited editions that they run. But you quickly can get an understanding as to why a cigar may cost $20 to $30, $40, right? Again, not for everyone, but I'm starting to have an appreciation for why maybe they cost.
Because you saw how it was constructed.
That's it.
How much emphasis do they place on the soil? As much emphasis as they place on the leaf?
Yeah. So the soil, they're curating every aspect of the production, right? The soil is not always even Dominican soil. Sometimes the soil is Canadian. And so from the point in which they plant the seedling in the soil to when they harvest that, anywhere from 75 to 95 days. So it's a relatively short growing cycle. And during that time, they've got drip lines that are watering those seedlings to ensure the best outcome. And the watering process also includes the water is also infused with fertilizer that's kind of green type of fertilizer. So they're doing everything they can to ensure the best possible outcome for that tobacco. And when you light the stick up, once you get it in your hands, right, from soil to hands, you can really see the quality and the craftsmanship that was put into that production process. I think what you don't always see, that I saw firsthand, is the pride that the employees have in the production process. Very prideful in their work. And for a process that you would think would be relatively rudimentary, very scientific approach, right? There are multiple checkpoints, multiple QA. They're looking at KPI dashboards and analytics in every step of the process, right? To ensure that top-notch final product.
So from start to finish, how many people probably are associated with the cigar?
So if you hear like the folks talking, the best and the brightest in the industry talking about that, it's been said that from seed to the consumer's hands, 200 to 300 touches. So if you think about that, even the processes that we saw, and we didn't see a complete process, several times it changed hands, several changeovers. We probably saw a couple of dozen of them during the production process easily.
Wow.
And I think what's kind of cool about the Davidoff process is that at any point, a worker can raise their hand and say, hey, no, something needs to be checked. Something needs to be reviewed. And so they have the authority and the power to stop, investigate what may be going on, figure out what the corrective measures are, and then move forward from there. Just multiple checkpoints during the process, which is really kind of interesting. So yeah, like, if you haven't had an opportunity to go on those tours, I certainly recommend it. It's worth, every minute of time invested in doing that. Again, if you're interested in the premium cigar industry, I definitely recommend the tours. But yeah, so certainly enjoying this. We'll check back in a little further into the cigar to see if you're picking up, the initial creaminess, see if you're picking up like the leather and the wood kind of midway through. Love to get your thoughts, and then we'll circle back later towards the end to see what your thoughts are on the profile. But as we mentioned, Kenny, we're happy to have you here. I'd love to know more about, your professional background, maybe starting back as, your selection and going to Duke to play basketball, how you progressed and kind of bring us forward to where you are now. I'd love to know a lot about that.
Yeah, well, it's a complete roller coaster, and it's a very non-conventional roller coaster. I chose Duke because I felt like, one, being at the Matha, I wanted to have a great educational experience. I had that at the Matha. All my teachers, the administration, our coaches there were first class. They were educators first. They had great character. They were the right people for me, and I would say the same for Ray, um, that really prepared us for, life after high school. And I wanted that same experience that I had at the Matha to continue in my next phase of my life. So Duke offered that. They offered, world-class education. And at the time, Duke had gone, I think, to 6 out of 8 Final Fours. And they were so close to going to the national championship. And for me, winning is the ultimate prize. Like I will sacrifice anything to win. And I really felt like during my time at Duke, if that was the school I was to choose, that I would have a chance to be a part of a national championship. And I was very fortunate to be a part of 2 national championships there.
Very nice.
So
Very nice.
I love my time at Duke. Playing for Coach K is, I look back on it, it's absolutely mesmerizing that I had a chance to be such a small part of a historic run that took place at Duke.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, what's always amazing to me, and I don't think people understand they don't always understand, is the challenge of not only playing a sport at a very high level, but also performing academically at a very high level, right? Duke is not a school where you're just going and showing up. I'm certain you're in the classroom and it's very demanding. So how do you balance that? I have a perspective on that, but I'd love to get your perspective on, the need to balance strong academic performance with, balling out as best you can on the court.
Oh, 100%. It's it's something that we learned at the Matha. So interesting, like you go to high school and you have 7 or 8 classes, right? In college, you probably have 4. You have 2 a day. And so your time is pretty much managed according to your classes. So my day started at 9. I was done by like 12:30. Go have lunch. We had practice at 3. We're done by 6, treatment and all those different things. We're at dinner at 7, and, your routine in the evening started. Like there's some downtime, but then you wanted to get your academics done as well, so you could kind of prepare and get ready for what was to come in the future for you.
Yeah, no, I feel like what you just described is essentially 2 full-time jobs.
because it was, but
It kind of feels like that, right?
but to Kenny's point, I mean, it's almost like in the Karate Kid movie where Daniel didn't realize he had all of the skills and talent to get the job done
Yeah.
until the time came. I mean, I'm sure Kenny will agree. I know when I got to college, like most kids, 18, 19 years old, it's overwhelming. It's intimidating, but it's almost like riding a bike. You pick up after a while. You're like, okay, I know what I need to do. I've been trained and I've been taught this. I just never really thought about it because I was a knucklehead in high school. And when you get to college,
I'm in that club too, by the way.
you get to college and everything is compartmentalized
Yeah.
and it just makes sense and it flows. But I mean, had I not gone to DeMatha High School, I would not have been prepared. They really truly as much as they told us that and we didn't want to listen, they really truly prepared us for college and all of those things that he was touching on.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I mean, I went to Georgetown undergrad in my first year. My brother was also at Georgetown. He was a fifth year senior. He was on an athletic scholarship, sprinter, track and field. So I would probably say, I don't believe my high school prepared me for what I was about to endure. Right, I wasn't prepared. Right,
Either
but
realize it or you don't.
but you have to learn. Right, I think there were some struggles that freshman year, just balancing the academic load with the requirements of athletics. Right, so that first year, I threw the discus and the javelin. So same thing. I'm in class all morning to early afternoon, and then in the afternoon, we're out putting in miles on the road, even for the throwers. Right, we're out running and lifting weights and sharing the facilities with the basketball team, and so very demanding. So hats off to the guys that do that and do it well, because I think that's the piece that most people don't
Mhm.
see. They don't understand what
Mhm.
that looks like.
And not only that, also, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, we grew up minutes from DeMatha, right? So we Kenny grew up in DC, I grew up in Hyattsville, Maryland, and it's a whole nother world when you get to Duke. You're now around different people from different parts, maybe not the parts we're from different backgrounds. How did you juggle all of that socially? Obviously, you got the basketball part down, the academic part down, but I mean, here you are, a kid from DC at Duke University. What did that feel like?
No, that part was challenging. That part was extremely challenging. It was an eye-opening experience. From, like you said, I'm a inner city kid from, uptown DC, and to go from my environment, my neighborhood, to the eye-opening experience that I had at Duke just socially was so different and so unique. Like, you know, I always considered DeMatha a blue collar type environment for the educational experience, and being at Duke, that was not the case. You have students from all over and all different walks of life, every demographic. And I think what makes Duke so cool is that, you know, everybody there is striving to be really, really good at whatever they're going into, as well as other universities. And I just found that for myself to be really inspiring, to be on a campus that, regardless of what your socioeconomic situation is, your demographic, whatever those things are, collectively, everybody's there to really, try to crush it in life.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I think for me, the it took me a little bit to adjust to the socioeconomic pressures. And then I think the other piece that a Georgetown provided for me was the international aspect. You have students from around the globe, so many different religions, languages, nationalities. Like, it was a huge opportunity for the world to come together, but I was not essentially prepared for the utmost focus on excellence. Right? You pick that up because of your surroundings, but I would say I wasn't necessarily prepared for that. I mean, it wasn't until my sophomore year that I felt like I had solid grounding. And because of all of the demands on, athletics and, you know, um, assimilation and the academics, I threw the javelin and the discus for the first year. After that, I'm like, I couldn't juggle all of those things. So I needed to, and it forced me to spend more time on academics in order to be successful in that regard, right? So, um, you know, those were very interesting times. I mean, like I said, I was kind of a sheltered kid, and I didn't go far. I mean, I lived in Virginia. I'm 45 minutes away, but it almost felt like a world away from where I grew up, and so very very interesting and a very cool experience.
No doubt. And growing up in DC and being around Georgetown and the influence of what Georgetown basketball meant globally, not even, here in the DMV, but just globally, with the things that they brought to, our culture, seeing John Thompson fight for social justice causes, from Prop 48 to, trying to get more Black coaches into the profession, and, equality and all the different things. It was such an impact on me growing up here in the district, and being so close near Georgetown.
Yeah, I think one thing that I really enjoyed all of those things as it relates to John Thompson, but I think what people don't really understand, because they weren't necessarily exposed to it, was his requirement on academic excellence. I mean, those guys were not there to play basketball, right? And so, the testament to that was you'd see turnover on the team every year, right? Some guys thought it was just a place to go excel in basketball, and it is, but you have to stay academically eligible. And so there were no cutting corners with that, right? Um, but again, it's not, obviously Duke is kind of the same scenario. So,
Well, we looked at Duke as being like, being a little bit older now and kind of being a little bit more worldly. I look at Georgetown as being Duke in DC.
gotcha.
That's great.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
So Kenny, you are obviously, you made the right choice and went to Duke, and you've had a successful career. What other schools were you leaning towards, possibly, if it wasn't going to be Duke, and
Good
why?
question.
And why?
Well, Georgetown,
Okay.
Love that.
UVA,
Yep.
Mhm.
Notre Dame,
Mhm.
Temple, Georgia Tech, Duke were like my final 6 schools. And I had a affinity for Coach John Chaney, the late coach that was the head coach at Temple for so many years and really brought that university and their basketball program to prominence. Just watching them and watch what he did at, a school that wasn't a Power 5, but got them to the Sweet 16, and the runs they would make in the NCAA tournament, and the players that he was producing that was going to the NBA, and seeing a gentleman that was so into building young men was very attractive to me. And I just thought that the academics of the other schools as well was really important. My decision was solely going to be an academic decision as well as a basketball decision.
Wow, that's great. That's great. And it's incredible. I'm going to boast on DeMath a little bit, but it's incredible. And I was there while Kenny was getting recruited and all of that. So, to go during lunch and you stumble into the gym and you see Bobby Cremens and Mike Krzyzewski and Bobby Knight. I mean, at the time, you're a kid in high school, you're like, oh, okay, it's pretty cool. But now when you look back, it's like, wow, all of the talent that came through there.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I mean, I was a middle school kid. Both of my older brothers went to college on athletic scholarships. Brother played offensive guard at Wake Forest. My brother ran track at Georgetown, and I had those similar experiences. But those coaches were like in our kitchen, right? Like sitting at our table, and I didn't have an appreciation for it as a middle schooler. But I wish I had, because I think that experience would have been different. I would have been right there at the table in the middle of the conversations had I known, what was in front of me.
Absolutely. And
but-
I think the men that were in your kitchen would have welcomed that, because they're not only coaches, they're educators. And they would have seen that as a great life experience and exposing the next generation of student athlete.
Yeah, again, like I said, athletics provide great opportunities for folks, and I'm all for that. A big supporter, and yeah, I just can't say enough about the opportunities that athletics provide to students that may otherwise not have that opportunity. So really thankful for that, and appreciate that process.
100%.
So sounds like you had a great experience at Duke, enjoyed yourself. What position did you play?
Whatever got me into the game.
No, I'm with you, and that's the right answer. What do you need me to play?
Absolutely.
Right.
We had 14 other All-Americans on the team. So whatever I could do to be a part of affecting our team in a positive way, I did not hesitate to do. If it was being the biggest cheerleader on the team, I did it. If it was playing, 2 minutes here or there, I did it. If it was playing an extended period of time, I did it. If it was encouraging guys doing timeouts and giving them insight to maybe some things I saw on the court, whatever it took for us to be successful and win, I was trying to do my part in helping our team any way I could.
Gotcha. And looking back on that Duke experience, if you had to sum that up in a few words, how would you describe your Duke academic and basketball experience?
Surreal.
Gotcha.
Yeah, just that simple. Very surreal.
Gotcha.
That's amazing. He would look great in that Georgetown uniform, wouldn't he have?
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome. So talk to us. So tremendous opportunity at Duke that you took full advantage of. What ended up being next for you?
Well, I signed a deal to go play in New Zealand.
Okay.
And I just remember talking to my agent before I completed my deal. And he just said, look, I want you to go take a look at a map so you understand where New Zealand is. He's like, it's the furthest place on the map that you'll ever go. And that part scared me a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I was like, if I go over here, I may not ever come back home in a positive way. Like I'd go and love the people, love the culture, love the city. It was in Auckland and thought I may end up like living there forever. And then saying that, I chose not to go. So I started to try to figure out what was the next phase of my life. And I remember having a conversation with Tommy Amaker and Mike Bray, both our assistant coaches at the time. And they both was like, look, you played for Morgan Wooten, you played for Coach K. Like there's no reason why you should not pursue coaching as a career. And I was just like, this sounds great. I'd done internships on Capitol Hill, did internships at law firms and was trying to understand that path. If I was going to go to Wall Street, if I was going to go to law school, if I wanted to do something, on the Hill. But ultimately I chose to go the coaching route.
Gotcha. What did you study at Duke?
I doubled history and sociology.
Gotcha. Okay. So you had an opportunity to play in New Zealand. You opted for coaching. What's the two questions? What was your first coaching role and how were you able to, what was the entree into locking down that first coaching role coming out of Duke?
Yeah, well, I thought that because I went to DeMatha and I had that on my resume along with Coach Wooten and the Coach K effect of a lot of success and him producing so many former players that have gone on to coaching, that it would be an easy entry into the coaching business. And it just wasn't. I struggled to get in the business and I got a call. It had to be the end of October and the season had started already. This is October of 95. Season already started and Lefty Drizel reached out to me, who was the coach at that time at James Madison, and was like, hey, I just lost an assistant coach. Would you be interested in interviewing? I was like, absolutely. So went through the process, eventually got the job. It paid $3,000 for the year. So I got $3,000 and a meal card to go eat with the students every day. But that was my first entry into the coaching business. But the neat part about that was I didn't get hired until the day before our first game. So literally I got there, we practiced, got on a plane, went to Bowling Green, and day 2 was our first game. I'm sitting next to Coach Drizel, and it's a very close game, possession by possession at the end. And Lefty grabs me during the game and goes, Kenny, what do you think we should do? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, shit, Lefty, I don't even know these guys' names. I'm like,
tell 45.
We did have lunch together a few times, though.
Tell number 45.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah.
I'm literally like, Coach, I have no idea what you want, concepts you're thinking about.
Yeah.
These guys' full names, first and last. But hell, if you're asking me, I'll give you my opinion. So that was day 2 on the job.
That's awesome.
During that time, I mean, $3,000 for the year and the meal card. What pushed you? What motivated you? What kind of lit that fire inside to say, I'm going to stick with this and I'm going to make something of this because I know something's better is down the road.
I've always, Ray, kind of believed in the process of putting one foot in front of the other, and you don't stop. Regardless of what bumps are maybe on the road, what obstacles may come and try to, it's always been one foot in front of the other. And for me, it's just been a steady process of like understanding what this is about, understanding what works for me, what fits, what universities, is this the right mentor for me at this time? I try to evaluate all those things, but it's also like, how much can I learn in these situations? How much can I get better? So it's always been taking these situations as a learning experience, seeing if I can get better at my craft and pouring into the young men that I'm having a chance to be able to work with every day. For me, that's been, number one on like my list of things is like, how can I help change the lives of these young men as my coaches help change the life for me?
That's valuable advice. And I mean, and you can apply that to everyday life because learning when to pivot, right? When to pivot and say, okay, maybe I need to go this direction, or maybe I hang here for a little bit because this might lead into something else. And I think, don't you agree? Life is the same way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I completely agree with that. And I think the follow-up question is while you're trying to grow and evolve in the role, it's not lost on me that as a recent college graduate, you're coaching guys that are probably the same age as you
or older.
So how does that? So what did that look like? I'd love to know more about that.
It was interesting. It was interesting. Some of the guys I knew that were DMV guys, other guys I just got to meet when I got to campus, but I knew that there was a professionalism that I was supposed to have, right, by watching my coaches. And I just tried to emulate them being accountable or responsible, but also understanding that they are affecting young men that are at an age of 18 to 23 or 17 to 24, whatever those ages are, that they can have an impact on. And so for me as a role model with young men that I was the same age as, and like I said, some of those guys might've been even older, it was important for me to go in every day and to be my best me that I could be every day.
Gotcha. So what'd you walk away with as a key nugget from that first year?
Lefty was so smart. One of the most intelligent dudes I've ever been around. He had lockers like this full of binders and would literally write everything down. Very organized, very detailed, and allowed me as a young coach to be a part of every single facet of the program. So after that experience, I really felt like, even though I wasn't, I felt like I was really prepared to go on to the next phase of my life and the next coaching job from there, just because he allowed me so much responsibility and so many different duties that I thought gave me an opportunity to grow as a coach and as a man.
Gotcha. And so you spent that first year at JMU working with Lefty. What came next?
I got a real job that paid a little bit more.
A little more than 3,000.
A little bit more than,
but no meal card.
No meal card. I missed the meal card. You got to pay for your own lunch. The meal card is like, I moved to LaSalle in Philadelphia and became a part of Speedy Morris's staff there. Was there for 1 year, and what an incredible run that I had there with being on his staff. More responsibility. I had a chance to be even more part of the recruiting process, getting out on the road, going to different events, having a chance to go into young men's homes and presenting LaSalle and our university to them and their families. It was a really, really great year where I just felt at 25, 26 years old at that time. Again, another natural progression in like my maturation to get one step closer to being a head coach.
Gotcha. I like that. So first the focus is on, the business of basketball coaching. The second role more around some of the some of the required skills, soft skills that nest into the coaching. Um, what are your takeaways or thoughts around the recruiting process? Sitting with the families and the prospects and talking to them about the benefits of, coming to your institution, getting an education there, and playing for that particular university.
Well, I've been
What did
very
that look like?
no, I've been very lucky that every brand that I've worked at, higher educational brand, I've been able to really present a picture for those student athletes that I can say, if you come to this university, it's going to give you an opportunity for the next 30 to 50 years of your life to really have success. And not only do you just go and, you're not just a basketball player, but you're going for the whole educational experience. And I always talk about the educational experience, not even the student athlete experience. Um, like who you may end up as a dorm mate could possibly be a person that's going to be the next hedge fund manager, next CEO, next president of the United States. You never know. To integrate yourself into the university, into the culture of that university, to be a part of what's going on socially, if it's politically, whatever those things are, like show up and be open to all of those different, opportunities that may be presented to you as a student that's taking place on that campus.
I like that. I mean, that's one of the key learnings I had at Georgetown. I learned even during my college years to invest in and value relationships, because we were just young kids. But once you start talking to those kids and those classmates, you realize you were amongst congressmen's children, you were amongst CEOs' children. So you're not only building a relationship with that classmate, but you're potentially building relationships and opportunities with an extended family, right? And so just recognizing that and being able to dedicate time and energy into that, bore fruit for me, as did many of my other classmates. It's really cool. Yeah, I like that. So you continue progressing into coaching. Were there opportunities during your career where you did other things outside of coaching, and what did that look like?
Yeah, two other opportunities. I
Okay.
got out of business twice, and my journey is really unique. I started a basketball camp in Dallas, Texas in 1994, and did it with my teammate, roommate, Thomas Hill, who was from that South Dallas part of the town. And he came up to DC, had a chance to go visit Coach Wooten's camp, and noticed that there wasn't anything like that provided for young students in his region. So we went to Texas and that we started to build what we called a sports academy. And so did that from 1994 until about 2002, and was going back and forth from, next stop was the University of Delaware, but going back and forth from Delaware to Dallas probably once a month, if not twice a month, for about, what is that, 8 years.
8 years.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it. And all of that experience just helped you as you continued to build your coaching career as well.
Absolutely. But it also prepared me for those opportunities, moving forward, to learn how to run a business, learn how to be a CEO, learn how to build business plans, learn how to organize myself to be able to have success in those areas of growing our business and scaling it. So absolutely.
Yeah, no, I like your unconventional progression, because at the end of the day, at these universities as a head coach, you're literally the CEO of a multi-million dollar enterprise, right? So you obviously have to have all the background and the knowledge around the game and how to coach, but you're also running a business with a huge budget, right? And so I think the better coaches understand that. You as the CEO, you're managing a lot, and you're relying on essentially your leadership team to execute the X's and O's on the court. Because there's so many other things that you need to be focused on: budget, recruiting, inside the university politics, outside the university politics, just a number of things that you become involved in that you may not have known were part of the role before you took it.
That eventually now you fast forward to where we are now, recruitment is something that's very important, obviously. And then the camps, you have a highly successful basketball camp at Howard. And, so it's funny how you probably think way back when, did you ever think you'd be doing it at this level?
I never thought I was going to get back into coaching, Ray. In 2011, I left coaching and I started a business in 2010 called Sport and Styles. And I was in Ireland in 2010. It was at the time I was working at Harvard and got to know a lot of the ownership group of the Boston Celtics. And when they couldn't go to games, they would come by our offices at Harvard and drop off tickets for us to go. So I probably went to about 20 games that year and became a Celtics fan at the time. They were in the playoffs playing against the Chicago Bulls. I was traveling in Europe, but I was such a fan that I wanted to watch the games. So I'm up flicking through all the different networks trying to find, and the only thing's on is soccer. And I love soccer. So I'm like, all right, there's nothing else on. I want to see people compete. I'm going to watch the soccer game. In the middle of the soccer game, I saw 80,000 people waving soccer scarves. So I turned to my wife. I said, what the hell is this? She goes, what do you mean? I go, what's the deal with all the soccer scarves, with the scarves? She goes, well, in soccer, the apparel is a lot more sophisticated than it is in America. I go, tell me more.
Yeah.
She goes, instead of wearing jerseys, people will wear a tie or a scarf or socks, whatever those things may be, that's a little bit more understated if they're coming from work or wherever they are going to games than wearing jerseys. And I was just like,
Light bulb went off.
Light bulb went off.
Mm-hmm.
I stayed up the whole night, did not go to sleep. And I researched every league and saw that there was an opportunity to start a scarf company here in America.
Wow.
With all the pro leagues. And that's how my business of sporting scarves at the time, we eventually changed the names because we added more products than scarves and changed the names to Sporting Styles. So from 2010 to 2011 until 2019, I was in manufacturing and licensing and not involved in coaching.
Interesting. That's awesome.
You ever have a passion to get back? Did you ever think you'd get back at some point?
Yeah, well, I was doing consulting with Under Armour. And part of my deal was with them. One of my best friends was like head of grassroots colleges and global basketball marketing at Under Armour, brought me on to be a consultant. I said, I'll come on, but I'm never stepping on the court again. If you need me to consult, if you need me to do player evaluations, whatever information you need from me, I will provide.
Right.
But I'm not stepping on the court because I knew that if I stepped on the court,
it's going to be more than just stepping on the court. You're going to move forward with it.
Absolutely. And that's what happened. We were at the Steph Curry camp where he brings the top 20 high school players, brings about 5 or 6 college players, some of the top female high school players in the country, basically locks them in a gym for about 4 or 5 days and does an unbelievable job of just training, drills, competition, teaching. Phenomenal experience. Did it for 3-4 years. My last year there, one of the coaches couldn't make it because his dad passed the day before. So we get to camp. My buddy comes up to me and goes, hey.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-oh.
Here we go again.
Here we go.
Here's the situation. Unfortunately, we're short a coach because of this. I need you to hop on the court. I'm like, you need me to? He's like, I kind of do. So I did it over the 3 or 4 day period. It was incredible. I poured my heart into it. And I just remember being at the banquet afterwards. Steph honored all the coaches, all the players, and everybody that was part of it. And I found a corner, at this restaurant we were at. I just started bawling because my heart was like, my passion was like, this is where you need to be.
Gotcha.
And from that point on, I was trying to figure out, okay, how do I get back in the business?
Gotcha. So eventually you did move back into coaching?
I had to volunteer to get back in. Started with $3,000, and then, it's like those entry-level jobs, right? You got to do what you got to do to be a part of it. But the jobs are so competitive, and there's so few of them that we were living in New York City at the time. I volunteered at Columbia University. Jim Ingles was very, very brave and very kind to allow me to be a part of his staff. And that was my entry point back into the business.
So what's your advice to the young coaches watching this show right now that want to get into coaching, that played competitive collegiate basketball and had some level of success? What's your advice to those guys?
I tell those guys, don't do it. find something different to do.
It's very simple.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that, like, you have to be a little, like, different. Think of this. Every emotion goes with every pass, every shot, every dribble, every foul. Like, you are going emotionally like this every single day. Practice, games, recruiting calls, meetings, whatever those are. You got to be a little bit different to really be passionate about this. And if you're not passionate about it and, go into it with all of your heart, it can be a place where it becomes very challenging for you.
Wow.
Yeah, think about that roller coaster hundreds of times just in a single game.
Hundreds of times.
Hundreds of times in a single game, right? So you think about that.
Yeah.
That takes a lot,
It takes a toll.
It takes its toll, right?
Absolutely does.
It takes its toll.
But even as disciplined as Kenny is, I mean, I've seen throughout the season, I've been fortunate enough to work with the basketball program at Howard for many years now. And I've tasted a little bit of that roller coaster ride with you. Beginning of the season, you're at a particular point, and then midway through the season, you're feeling different.
Yeah.
Until you get to the end of the season. Talk a little bit about that. I mean, talk a little bit about that roller coaster ride where you are now versus how it was back then.
Yeah. Well, Ray, it's crazy because, like, I don't know, what's the average hours we're all up per day, right? Whatever that is, 16 hours, 14 hours, whatever that looks like, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Every hour that I'm up, I'm thinking about our basketball team. There's not many moments that go by that I'm not thinking about our team, our players, what I got to do for our managers, our organizationally, what has to take place. Like, I am always and constantly thinking about, like, Howard basketball and how do we make it better? Like, it never turns off. And I wake up 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning every day and just
It starts.
That's just how I'm wired. So again, like, it's constantly like, what do we need to do? What do I need to do for our best player? What do I need to do for the 15th guy on the bench to get him to, continue to work his best, knowing that he may not play a minute this year? Like, all of those different things, it never stops, never turns off.
Yeah, no, we've seen a great progression of how long have you been at Howard?
This is year 7.
Okay. Yeah, we've seen a progression there. Phenomenal job there.
Thank you.
What's it look like today? The team now is prominent. People follow the team. The team has done well. You continue to grow and expand. What's that look like at Howard, and what's it look like for the recruiting for today's top tier athlete?
We've become a destination.
Okay.
We went from a place that people didn't see us as a viable choice to becoming a destination.
Okay.
And it's been great. We've won 3 out of 4 championships in our league. We've gone to 3 out of 4 NCAA tournaments. We've had, you know, about 15 players play professionally. We had, since I've been there, over 20 players graduate. We've done, some incredible work in the community. We've done some incredible work in our social justice initiatives. We have over 100 managers that we currently have on staff right now.
Wow.
So there's so many different layers with our basketball program that has grown and developed. And there's so many people that have had helping hands in building this thing that it's kind of taken on a life of itself now, and a little bit of a machine.
Yeah, I think what I really like about what you're saying is that with success comes opportunity, right? It's probably no surprise that as you've done better and improved and done well, the resourcing is not far behind it.
Absolutely.
Which helps the end result, right?
Absolutely. No, we've in saying that, to raise a question, what does it look like now? We have so many different things with recruiting. We have NIL, we have the transfer portal. We have so many different rules that are being legislated right now that in real time are changing from, week to week and month to month and sometimes day to day. So the business has evolved.
Yeah, I think I'm really interested. I do a lot of research on the transfer portal and the NIL, and I think a lot of people just get like an outsider's view on that. What's that look like? I mean, to me as an outsider, it looks like the
chaos.
It looks like the NCAA has gone from like a super tight, highly regulated body to just completely open competition, and it's become a capitalistic endeavor.
West, yeah.
So how did that happen though? Like, what was the genesis of the NIL decision and the opening of the transfer portal, and essentially the bidding on the best talent? How did that come into being? I just haven't really figured that piece out.
Well, I think that there was a court case. Ed O'Banion, famous UCLA player, early 90s. I think he might have graduated in 94, had a lawsuit about his name, image, and likeness. Yes. Excuse me. And he won the lawsuit, which basically changed a lot with the NIL, name, image, and likeness. Now players can benefit and get paid from their name, image, and likeness. So it's opened up, I think, a wonderful world, because I am really for players' ability to be able to get paid. I think they should be compensated. I think that, our business of college basketball has waited so long for the student athletes to be a part of the pie that it's now we're trying to understand what should the rules all look like. And we're navigating this kind of slippery slope right now that is, where we are. But I think it's fascinating because for me, it has allowed me to use some of the entrepreneurial skills that I've developed, negotiation skills, in terms of like different things, my ability to go out and fundraise, my ability to bring partnerships into our program, into our university. It's opened up, I think, a part of my CEO experience that has been really valuable to, being the head coach at Howard University.
Sure. So I got that, completely understand. And so from where we sit right now, NIL, as best I can understand, there's two opportunities for student athletes to be compensated. One is through sponsorship, third-party companies, as well as compensation directly from the university. Is that right?
Revenue share. Yes, that is completely right.
And you're fundraising, you're traveling the globe to get donors. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, it's, there's a certain amount of like, I guess, big picture things where this is so new, right? We're talking about maybe year 4 or 5, that some programs weren't ready for name, image, and likeness. If you're not one of the Power 4 schools, you're probably like, it's the have and then it's the have-nots. one of the things that I wanted to do when I got to Howard is I wanted to be able to provide our students with an experience where they felt like if they chose Howard, that they weren't compromising anything by coming to Howard. From an educational point of view, socially, all the things we do with social justice and community service, facilities, and the latest part is, name, image, and likeness. So how can our students participate in name, image, and likeness and feel like they're not compromising anything by choosing Howard when they see their friends are benefiting from name, image, and likeness situations? So I've had to go to Taiwan. I've had to get on planes and go meet with alums and different companies and sponsors. And, it's just part of my job, which I have really, I think, embraced and actually love.
Gotcha. I think what's interesting is that most people from the outside perspective would ask the question, why compensation when the scholarship covers educational expenses? And I think we all know the answer to the question. Paying for the education is great, but if a kid can't travel home, or a kid can't, have all the resources they need to grow and flourish, I think the NIL provides that opportunity. So I know the answer to the question, but that's the question that you hear often.
But in addition to the NIL, it's about establishing solid facilities. Talk a little bit about what you've done at Howard to also attract some of these young men to play basketball at Howard. I've seen the beautiful practice court. Talk a little bit about some of the things you've done since you've been there that was not there when you got there.
Yeah. So we've raised money with a classmate from Duke named Randy Chen. Randy is Taiwanese, lives in Taiwan, and has been a huge supporter of our program. Randy donated the money to help us build our practice facility that is now 2 years old. And it's one of the state-of-the-art, gorgeous, beautiful facilities in the country. Like, I put it up against any college basketball facility in the country. That's how nice it is. And along with that, we brought in a partnership with Nuna, the luxury stroller car seat manufacturer that is also located in Taiwan. And they are our floor rights sponsors. So when you watch our games or you come to Bird Arena, you will see Nuna's logo that is located on our floor, and they've gotten an unbelievable traction with our national TV games and different things from our social media that has given them some valuable exposure. And their relationship with, Howard and the Black culture now has probably elevated and exposed more people that haven't been familiar with their brand to their brand. We've done so many different things: new locker room, new offices, and just building our program, the way we travel, the hotels we stay in, the meals that we have. We're working with Ray that does incredible work for our players. We work with Dr. Joe Carr, who is one of the leading sports psychologists in the country. We were working with Debbie Tannehill, who is at George Mason now as one of their assistant coaches, but she was our yoga. So holistically, can we give our students a experience that they're not missing out on anything that provides them a chance to be the best version of them that they can be each and every day to show up?
Yeah, you're truly developing a world-class program there. And again, success breeds success, and success provides the resources to continue to invest, to make sure you're elevating that opportunity and creating that experience that's on par with any other program, which is awesome.
And one thing Kenny failed to mention, Howard's a Jumpman school. And I think the story is hysterical when he tells me, how did Howard become a Jumpman school? Tell us about how that happened.
So we had a student athlete that was a 5-star athlete that we recruited, McCore Maker. And I got so many different phone calls when McCore committed to Howard. We did the data and the analytics on it. It was over 1 billion social media impressions, which for us was about $4 million in free marketing exposure.
Gotcha.
So everybody wanted a part of this story. So I had a ton of filmmakers reaching out to me, and I had no idea how to navigate this path that I was currently, being a part of. So I called Grant Hill and I said, Grant, like, you've made a couple of films, and, give me some like guidance on this. He goes,
Help me.
help me.
Help me. Yeah.
Grant was one of my teammates from Duke, and
Duke,
we've known each
yeah.
other since we were like 12, 13 years old. And Grant goes, call Spike Lee. I'm like, hell do you mean call Spike Lee?
And then do what?
Yeah, right. I was like, I don't know Spike Lee.
Well, what do I do after that?
He goes, call Spike Lee, he'll take your call. So it was a rainy Saturday during COVID, and he sends me his number. Saturday morning, I reach out to Spike, and he doesn't pick up. Literally 10 minutes later, Coach, it's Spike Lee. I'm like, get the...
You're like, no, who is this?
Yeah, right.
You knew because the voice was so distinct.
Right. Gotcha.
And Spike and I stayed on the phone for about 6 hours
Wow.
talking
Huge
about
basketball fan there. Right. Yeah.
ginormous, but
Yeah.
what a great human being. Like, he's elevated our program in a way that, like, not too many people even know this story. But he's been so helpful to our program with the relationship with Jumpman and, all the different things that they've provided our university. But Spike was the caveat, or the entryway into the relationship with Jumpman. So it's been
That's awesome.
unbelievable.
That's great. I had no idea. How do you think about, Kenny, combining the open field now for NIL and coupling that with the wide open rules on the transfer portal? How do you navigate those two things converging at the same time?
For me, I had to lose all of the emotion around our young men in a way that is very challenging and hard. I care for our kids more than they probably care for themselves. And knowing that, young men and women now have an opportunity to transfer without any restrictions at the end of the year, the first couple of years, it really affected me in a way that it wasn't healthy. We had built a program in, I think, 2022, where we'd won our first championship, and everybody on the team had 2 years of eligibility left. So I'm thinking, like, we're about to turn into Gonzaga. We're about to turn into, like, one of those schools, St. Mary's, that is a mid-major school that is consistently in the top 20. So about a month later, I'm in Mexico on vacation with my wife, and my phone rings, and I'm like, this ain't good. And the conversation goes, hey, Coach, me and my family have been thinking we want to explore the portal. One call after another, after another. And I'm like, damn, we're at the point where we can kind of scale this thing up. And so I've basically had to remove the emotion of that part of the experience for myself and for the student athlete, because it's hard. This is, you're in their living rooms, you're at their kitchen table, you're presenting 30 to 50 years of opportunity to them. Now it's like, in one phone call, it's like, this is what we're thinking, and we'd like to explore this path now. So that part for me has been a progression that I've had to understand. Like, I got to remove, like, my heart from this and understand that this is just business now.
Sure. No, I understand that. I mean, it's interesting though, because when you think about kids coming to your program and you see somebody coming in as, say, a freshman, you know what your plan is for that player, and you know what your plan is for their progression, and how you're investing now so they can do something great 2 years from now. How do you manage that now, not knowing that investment is going to reap the benefits because of the ease of the portal?
You can't.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
has to be a season. Like this is
Gotcha.
one season. We have to do the very best that we can in the season. And then in March or April, we'll take a deep breath and reevaluate this thing all over again. And if it's not approached like that, it's just something that will eat the heck out of you up. So you want to do the very best job that you can do. Like, we pour into our kids in every way. Like, again, we look at our program and our basketball court as being the classroom, regardless if it's, portal era or not. We start every practice with a poem, a quote, something that's taking place in the news, and we discuss it.
Gotcha.
Every day. It's the first 5 to 10 minutes of our practice.
Where do you guys do that?
We do it
on the court?
We do it right on the court. We have something called a string tension meeting. And we have probably a 30-foot extension cord that we all get in a circle, and we hold the extension cord as tight as possible so there's no looseness in this extension cord, because we want to be as tight always as this cord that we're holding. So it's kind of like one of those things that we're subliminally like, this is who we are and this is who we're going to be at every moment. And we talk about things. So it's like our opportunity to discuss whatever those things are we need to discuss.
So you're looking at it in the off season, you're basically getting your team together at a certain point before the season starts. You know who your players are, and you're really developing a 1-year strategy at that point, not worrying about next year's strategy because it's going to be different and the actors are going to be different.
100%.
Gotcha.
We can't really recruit, and I don't think about recruiting until March, because at that point we played Michigan on a Saturday, got back to DC on Sunday. I think Monday or Tuesday we had our exit meetings, and one of the questions that I ask our student athletes are you going into the portal? Like, I need to know as fast as I can so
Sure.
I understand the direction that we need to take and build our program for the upcoming season. So it is very businesslike, very unemotional. It's just matter of fact in black and white.
Right. It's just any other business decision as a CEO.
Absolutely.
At that point.
How many times have you picked the phone up and called Coach K?
A lot. Sometimes he beats me to the punch.
He's calling right now.
He'll call or leave a text, and he's been great. He's been absolutely great. And one of our biggest fans, knows everything about our program, sends text messages before games, after games, different pictures, articles. He's been phenomenal.
And I've seen the videos you oftentimes bring with your relationships. You bring a lot of pro players in to kind of motivate the guys and tell stories and probably get into that group session that you were describing.
Absolutely.
Which is great.
We want to surround our program with excellence. So people from, the business world, law, politics, sports, education, whatever it is, we want to see like our players surrounded by excellence at every point of their lives. So we try to provide them with a world-class experience that's not only basketball related, but also how do you build and grow young men? We give them mentors, internships. We have several kids that have interned on Capitol Hill. We have several that are going to intern on Capitol Hill this year. We've done things at the White House. We've done things on Capitol Hill. We've been very, very active in that space.
And you bring these people in right before the game, right? What do you call them?
The captain of the day.
Captain of the day, which is really cool. You should watch those videos.
I like that. I completely understand that. I think, again, obviously the basketball is important, but at the end of the day, as you grow and develop men, not everyone's going to take that next leap into professional basketball. So focus on the education, give them the tools, basketball and non-basketball, that will allow them to not only excel if they play basketball professionally, but excel as business leaders, excel as lawyers, excel as salespeople, whatever the case may be. Just giving them that early exposure is significant. And
what are you going to walk away from?
Right. And I think it's something that's important more so now than it was, say, 10 or 15 years ago.
Absolutely.
So somewhere along the line, you picked up an affinity for cigars.
Yes.
I'm assuming. What did that look like, and how'd you get interested in the aficionado lifestyle?
A lot of steak dinners.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, that was probably like my induction into into this world of cigars. And for me, I don't golf. I don't really have hobbies. So, I spend, an hour or two at a cigar bar and kind of take a deep breath, kind of readjust to everything and just kind of mellow out a little bit
Yeah,
and
I'm with you.
enjoy a good stick.
Yeah, I think for me, and Ray and I have talked about this. For me, that evening stick, um, two goals. One, celebrating the wins of the day, whatever they are, big or small, and just resetting and setting the tone for all the things I want to get after on the next day. Right. I spend that 45 minutes to 60 minutes either on my patio at a lounge to take care of that and set myself up for the next day. Because I think a lot of times people don't, when we're in the rat race, we don't take the time to celebrate the small wins. And for me, the cigar, either on my patio or with friends at a lounge, allow me to do that and set the tone for the next day. So that's kind of what I use it for. And I think that's a lot of what goes on when you sit down in the evenings and have that cigar with either by yourself or with a group of friends
To reflect, right?
to reflect.
Right.
To reflect on the day,
Mm-hmm.
but more importantly, prepare for tomorrow.
Anticipate. Yep.
Right.
So
Ready
do you
for
have a
tomorrow.
favorite cigar lounge in the DC area that you like to frequent? Question one. Question two is, have you been known to look at game film while you're enjoying a cigar?
I've had. Yeah, absolutely.
You know that answer. So my day starts at probably around 5 o'clock in the morning.
Gotcha.
Because we practice at 7 a.m. So we practice from 7 to 9 every day, 2 hours. And then our young men and our females that are part of our managerial staff, they got to go to class. Typically from 9 until whenever I leave work, we're meeting as a staff. We're thinking about like watching film of practice, talking about our players. What do they need to do academically? What do they need to do, in terms of things that we do with our social justice initiative? All the different things that, we can think about to benefit and help them. Those are the conversations. But then after that, I will certainly slip down to Shelley's or TG's, or my new favorite place is Morton's Steakhouse on Connecticut Avenue.
The rooftop.
The
I
rooftop.
heard about. I've not been yet, but I've heard.
I love that place. Absolutely
We got to make it over
phenomenal.
there.
Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
And that's been a place that I've frequented like a lot lately. It's very chill, and you never know who you'll run into, there. I think about like cigars. There's a lot of people that I know that play golf, right? And they talk about doing business and meeting different clients and different people at golf clubs.
Sure.
I think the same thing about cigar bars.
Right.
Mhm. Absolutely.
The type of people that you can meet
Mhm.
at a cigar bar and network with or just get to know
Mhm.
has been for me phenomenal.
You never know who you're going to see in a cigar lounge.
That's it. That's it. And,
You never
everyone's
know.
everyone's friendly, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
the past 10 years, I had various roles at Microsoft, traveled a lot, and I always make it a point to hit a local lounge when I travel, right? You always walk in as a stranger and you walk out with friends, right? And so I think that's really cool. And again, to me, that's kind of like the genesis for Burn and Learn, right? Always want to enjoy a stick, but the great conversations and what you can take away from those conversations, very valuable.
Mhm.
And I relish the opportunity to do that as often as I can. It's just really
So
cool.
important. So important. And Kenny and I, we've done this for many years now. We'll get together. Last few years has been at Shelley's. We'll get together. Not just because I want to catch up with a dear friend, but we'll have a cigar and then we just reflect and then we anticipate. One of my questions to him is, what do the guys look like? Who do you think we're going to have this year? Or who are you recruiting, or this, that, and the other? So yeah, and we'll be sitting there and the guy next to us may just lean over and chime into the convo. And it's great. And that's kind of become our little tradition that we do at the beginning of every season. We did it this past season, and I hope to do it again this this upcoming season.
It's mandatory that we do it this upcoming
exactly.
season.
We had a successful season, so it's mandatory now.
I'm not
That we
superstitious.
do. Yeah,
I
it's
like-
mandatory.
No, I like that a lot. What do you guys think about the stick? Like I said, I think it started out with a little bit of aromatic coffee, a little bit of vanilla. I think towards the middle, I experienced a little bit of leather and wood, a little more complex in the
A
middle.
little more full-bodied in the
Yep.
middle. Yep.
Yeah,
I
and
did pick up
down
on
to
that.
the last third, and it's leveling off a bit. A
Mhm.
little bit of chocolate almonds, and I think it's, again, when not many folks have experienced like the Brazilian wrapper that this cigar has, and especially with the age on it, which is really cool. But the Dominican binder is actually it's actually cured in bourbon casks. So I'm picking up some bourbon notes throughout as well, which is really cool. All around, one of my favorites. So, the fact that it's limited edition just means that I'm out trying to grab as many as I can while they're available.
Well, they have them.
It's
It's a very steady burn too, very
Yeah.
easy to smoke.
Yep.
And very consistent. Got to the full body part, which I'm not a huge full bodied cigar guy,
Yeah.
but I've gotten past that point, and now I'm enjoying
Gotcha.
the cigar again. So no, it's a great stick.
I like
Great
it.
stick.
I like
Steve, this is awesome.
No,
It
it's
is
one of my favorites.
absolutely delicious.
One of my favorites. Now this has been great. This has been great. I appreciate the opportunity, and so as we think about like your professional career and the various things that you've had, the opportunity to be involved in, entrepreneurial, CEO, basketball leadership. What are some of the life lessons that came out of that as you look back?
I think one of the things for me, I love quotes, and there's a great quote from Oprah Winfrey, and she says, "You can have everything, but just not at the same time." And I think along the way, I've always tried to have everything, but I'm understanding now that you just can't have it at the same time. So that for me has been a life lesson that I've had to kind of learn through my trial and errors, being a coach, being a, entrepreneur, being a CEO, being a husband, being a dad, like all of those different, being a son, friend, all of those different things that I've done. I've had to learn that one lesson.
I like it.
What a great lesson to apply
Beautiful. Absolutely.
if you own a business or if you're running a company. I mean, that's great advice. I mean, great reflection to have. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, no, I like that. And again, like I said, that nuggets like that, is a big piece of why Ray and I do what we do, right? We want to tease those things out and share it. So we appreciate the opportunity to have this conversation with you. We'd love to have you back on, after the season, of course, right? And so we'll go ahead and wrap. Ray, thanks so much for joining us. Had a great time. Always a great time when we get together.
Absolutely.
Kenny, thanks so much. Appreciate everything. Thanks for the guys at Rebellion, Joel and James. Thanks to the crew at Access Studios, Kurt and Ken. They do a phenomenal job. Really, really excited about the prospects for the podcast going forward. So I appreciate the conversation and the opportunity. We'll go ahead and wrap. Again, thanks for Rebellion. And we'll wrap, and we look forward to the next opportunity to come together for a great stick and an even better conversation. And with that, we'll tell everyone good evening.
Thanks for lighting one up with us. That was Stephen Mann. And you've been listening to Burn and Learn, the Cigar Lifestyle Podcast. Brought to you by Stogie Hub. Elevate your cigar game. This episode was a full production by Access Studios. Access the power of video. Don't forget to visit our YouTube channel for exclusive content and hit that subscribe button to stay updated.